Good afternoon. My name is Zantul, and I have the pleasure speaking with special guest Miss Clary from Work It Lady podcast. Today, we'll be talking briefly about why it's important for youth to learn about healthy lifestyle choices. Miss Clary, welcome. Please introduce yourself and tell us why it's important for youth to choose a healthy lifestyle.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here, Zannatul. I definitely appreciate it. So again, my name is Clary, and Work It Lady podcast is basically a place for women of all ages, especially young women, to really get some basic fundamentals around health that's going to set them up for a lifetime of good health. So that is really my mission.
What made you want to create the podcast Work It Lady for the healthy lifestyle?
Yes, that's a great question. So the reason is I actually have a family that has a lot of health issues. My mom and my aunt had cancer at the same time. And I've had multiple family members with cancer, other chronic conditions. And so I kind of from a young age actually went on a journey to figure out why I also had health problems myself. Even from a young age, I was in children's hospital and all the tests and everything. So that was kind of my core mission is to give people quality information in everyday people's terms that they can get really some of those questions answered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, coming from my own personal experiences as a like my parents, there's like a whole new like what is called like generational like diseases of like just like diabetes, high blood pressure. So I think podcasts like that would have been very useful for my parents back in that day. So I really like what you're doing. We all have like goals we set when we create businesses or when we create things like a podcast. What are some of your goals that you want to achieve by the
My
end of this year?
Yeah, by the end of this year, I would love, now this is a big goal that, is really big, but I would love to have 1 million people tune in to Work It Lady podcast, especially the young ones, because with the younger generation, it's so important because you guys are what is going to continue on the generations, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of things that are available to young people now that could damage your health that weren't really a thing before, like vaping, promiscuity, all of these things that are really bad for the health that are very common in many different places now. So when you understand the reasons kind of behind, it helps you to kind of understand, okay, this is why what I should do, this is what I should not do. This is
Mm-hmm.
how my choices are going to affect my health.
Mm-hmm. Where do you get all your like information from? Like, like where do you do your researches? How do you fact check your researches and all that?
That is an excellent question, and I'm so glad you mentioned fact checking because that is very important. There are a lot of people out there pushing get rich quick and all these fake things just for them to make money, fake supplements and all this stuff. Your main places that you want to get information is first of all going to be your trusted government institutions. Those are institutions that every country has. Here in the United States is the CDC, NIH, and other charitable organizations like American Cancer Society, Susan G. Komen, all of these places where their main job is to help people with peer-reviewed actual studies and data. Also, your research universities are going to be your great source. So I always
Mm-hmm.
tell young people, don't just look at what the influencers are
Mm-hmm.
doing. That's a mistake I made when I was younger, just following people who I thought were cool and saying what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to do is educate yourself. I would encourage everyone to start with even a simple nutritional health certificate that can be obtained through any university. Universities are now offering nutritional health certificates, health certifications that even if you don't want to necessarily be a health coach, it can at
Mm-hmm.
least give you some foundational information so you don't fall victim to people
Mm-hmm.
giving, bad information. So those are where you really want to be looking. And I would say any influencer that you follow, make sure that they are quoting those sources that they're telling you, hey, my information are from these
Mm-hmm.
sources. This is what research I found and from where.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want.
Yeah, oftentimes we see like social media like TikTok and now there's just like 5 minutes with like 5 minute like burn like get abs or like whatever, like there's so much like false information and like people are lazy, like they don't want to do the research. So I love how your podcast is a reliable source to get the information, and oftentimes like if we promote it enough, like I can see a better future with podcasts like yours. While doing your research, what was one of your aha moments? Like what was one of the things you read and you were like, "Oh my God, this caused that," or like anything you read, you were like, "Oh, now I get it." Like, anything like moments like that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I will tell you one that has been a huge aha for me that I like to share with people. A lot of the times people want to know why we get cancer, right? Now, there are
Mhm.
many reasons for that, but I will say one of the reasons that some women can get cancers, especially reproductive cancers, is because of an anemia problem. So this is some information that I came across in my studies, and it was such a big aha for me because that was one of the questions that I wanted. Why was there so much cancer in my family? So what happens with anemia when you're anemic, and that's something for young girls to be aware of too. If you're already starting a period and having a very heavy period, you're feeling weak, lightheaded, you're throwing up, all of these are signs that you could be anemic. So then what happens is a woman would continue in that state if she doesn't go to the doctor, if she doesn't find a doctor that's really, digging into the issue. And that goes on for years and years. What then goes on to happen is when you're anemic, your cells are not fully able to mature. Okay, because the iron cells basically start to become corrupted in a way. They cannot replicate properly because
Mhm.
they don't have everything that they need. And so then those cells can go on to very easily turn into cancer cells. So
Oh.
yes, yes. So it's very important. If you hear your mommy say, "Oh, doctor said, I'm anemic," or you hear auntie say, "Doctor said I'm anemic," auntie, mama, we got to fix that right now. Because if you staying like that for years, later on you're going to get cancer probably. So these are the core things people have to understand when you get these diagnoses from the doctor. They say, "Oh, you're
Mhm.
anemic, just take this." You may say, "Oh, okay," and then you just don't take it serious, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
This is what we have to do.
Oh, yeah, like oftentimes I really like what you said. Like oftentimes when people the youths listen to like these podcasts or motivational things, they want to start making changes right away. So what are some quick healthy tips for youths to start doing right away that they can implement like as soon as they finished your podcast or like anything,
That
like
is a great question. That's another great question. I would say, I think having a green apple a day is a very good start for any young woman. And I'll tell you why. Um, for our hormones to be balanced as women, estrogen is one of our big ones. When you eat a green apple, the green apple polyphenols are very good at balancing your estrogen. So you don't have too much in the system. The fiber in the green apple is going to help to remove some of the excess estrogen from the bloodstream. Okay, so it's very good. Also, pro tip is going to keep you looking youthful
Mhm.
because it has natural retinols in it as well.
Oh, I take
Yeah.
I take the ointment. I apply the
Yeah,
ointment.
exactly. So now you're going to get that internally as well. So this green apple is a very good choice for every young woman to eat at one
Mhm.
every day.
Yeah, my doctor often tells me like your gut health is what it's the main thing for your skin. So if your guts like no matter what ointments you're gonna be applying, if your insides aren't good, your outside isn't gonna good look good either. Another question I had was sorry, I'm blanking out right now. It was on.
Maybe was it skincare or something?
Oh, well, I want to share my experience about Ramadan and how I don't know if you know, but like during Ramadan we fast until dawn to like sunset to sunrise, sunrise to sunset. And so during this times we do like it's said that we our body's detoxing from all the like fats and sugars that we had for like the past 11 months. And do you know about fasting? I know like intermittent fasting is a really big thing. So what are your opinions on intermittent fasting? I wanted to know about that.
Yeah, that is a great question. I definitely am familiar with some of the things around Ramadan. Definitely had some Muslim friends in school and everything. So I believe, and you correct me, there is a time period during the day which you don't eat, but you eat in the evening or you could eat
Yeah.
before, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and during that evening, like oftentimes like you try to be healthy, but to be honest, like your mom cooks like so much fried food and stuff, you just like binge eat all of it and it's just bad. But like you learn to control yourself, but during the first few days when you're first fasting, yeah, it's really bad. But yeah, sorry, as you were saying.
Yeah, so there have been some more researches as of yet around fasting. I would say if you're gonna keep your fast to, I believe it's only just for 1 month out of the
Mm-hmm.
year that you're doing
Mm-hmm.
this. Then in that case, I would say this is probably not anything that's going to have long-term effects. So it's not anything that's really going to mess up your health if
Mm-hmm.
that, and that's just it in my opinion. Everybody would need to consult
Mm-hmm.
with their doctor. I will say though, and actually a member of our cohort, my master's cohort, was recently speaking about this. She was a professional runner for years, and a lot of professional runner will do long fasts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now she is actually turned up to be diabetic because what happens is if you are constantly going long periods of time without eating, you get blood sugar spikes. And
Oh.
then what happens is after years of spiking up and spiking down and up and down and up and down, you develop diabetes. And this woman looks like the picture of health. She's an older woman. I want to say perhaps she's in her 60s, but she has a body of a 20-year-old and very strong and great looking. But she is diabetic now because of the years of fasting. So fasting can have some short-term benefits. I definitely, though, recommend traditional guidelines of
Mm-hmm.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to do fasting for, of course, religious
Mm-hmm.
purposes, I would never infringe on that. But as long as you don't make it too long.
Yeah, yeah, because oftentimes people break their fast, like their glucose level is so low. Like you said, the spike thing, they'll just have like such a sugary drink that it's crazy. Like my dad is like, "Oh, add some more sugar," and it's like, "You're literally diabetic. What are you doing? Like, come on."
Oh, no,
Yeah,
daddy,
so
no.
those I could literally imagine the sugar spikes that you just mentioned. Um, during after school, a lot of students, like I see a lot of students go to a store and grab a snack or anything. What are your opinions on like processed snacks that people like students, the youth, they just as a quick eat to just like stabilize their hunger for a little bit? Do you have any opinions on?
I do. I do. And this is speaking as a former person who was a student that did a bad job when I was school. I loved my after school snacks. Half the
Mm-hmm.
time, my mom, would say, here's a little lunch money. And I would just say, forget that and go to the vending machine and get 3 honey buns and have that.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, when we're kids, we kind of feel our independence at school and we eat whatever we want,
Yeah.
thinking. So, what I would say is be careful with that, ladies, because you're still developing. The human
Mm-hmm.
body really isn't fully developed until we're 30 years old overall. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are not giving your body the nourishment in your teens and early 20s, it is going to eventually become problematic for you. So some of my issues that I had as a young person was because my diet was bad and I was doing it to myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and oftentimes the like diseases or health problems you see as you're older is because of the choices you made when you're younger. So it's like I like really appreciate your podcast because if we don't change the youth right now, like later on, like they're gonna have those heart problems, like cancer, all those stuff. And I think our time has come to an end. The 15 minutes has ended, but maybe Miss Karmisha can confirm. Is there any last moments that you want to share before we end it?
I would say, I just want to thank all of the youth who are listening. You guys are precious gems. Keep up the good work. If you have any questions, please stop by my YouTube channel. I am, not a teenager anymore, but I try to be fun and hip and cool, and we get a little
Yeah,
silly over
you are.
there.
You are.
So, yeah,
Okay. Sorry. Thank you for tuning in, and I really liked interviewing you, Miss Cartley.
Clary.
Clary, sorry. And I think this will be all it. Thank you.
Mhm. Do I stay here or should I log out? Or should